it goes by so fast, man. When you grow up, you don't really think about it. And then you get married and start raising kids, and I get to asking myself, when we're going to be 10 years down the road. You're still going to be doing the same thing you're doing now, or you're going to try to do something better with your life.
Fire department, babies, get up, go to bed, go to work the next morning.
Because I didn't feel like I was doing a whole lot with it. I had a pretty good job being a firefighter, but I worked all these shit jobs too, man, where I was sacking groceries and cutting pulpwood and hauling hay and painting houses and building chain link fences for Sears and Roebuck, all that crap. And I worked like 7 days a week, and I did that for years. And I said, man, ain't there something else you can try to do?
Larry always had these whims, right? Where he was always gonna do this, gonna do that. And he picks me up one day from work, and I said, you're late, where have you been? And he says, I've gone to Joyce to get your typewriter. I'm gonna start writing. And I said, oh yeah, well, okay. And he goes, and I had this old-timey desk. He sets everything up, and he just goes into it, and he writes constantly. Oh, every day, all the time, when he's out of the fire department.
I think I was just curious if I could do it, if I could sit down and write a book. And so I sat down and wrote the book, but I was so naive, I thought that I'd mail it off to New York City. They'd mail me back a check, and I found out it don't work that way. Not for most people, it doesn't. Once in a while, somebody slipped through the cracks.
So it was like work at the fire department 24 hours a day, go to a part-time job, come home, and put himself in his writing room and sit there until it was when he couldn't stand it any longer and had to go to bed. We never saw him. Right?
That's pretty much it.
I mean, I didn't marry Larry the writer. That came years later. I mean,
she didn't marry a writer.
I didn't. This was thrown at me. I didn't ask for it.
You didn't ask for it, did you?
I didn't ask for it.
You're not born with it. Nobody's born with it. That's just something that you develop, just like I compare it to a bricklayer who goes, studies with a journeyman for 5 years to learn how to lay those courses. And the reason I say that is because if you could have seen all the early stuff that I wrote, like the first 5 novels I wrote and about 100 short stories, you would have to say that I had no talent. You wouldn't have any other choice. It's that bad. So I think it's something you just develop according to how bad you want to. If you're willing to hurt enough, you can have it. This is a list that began in 1982, and this runs up to about 1989. And this is a document or a record of the titles of all these stories, the magazines they were sent to, and when they were sent out. And each one that has a line drawn through it is a rejection. Now, just about all this stuff was rejected. You can see there's like 5 or 6 stories out of all these pages.
Those were hard. That was to see him work so hard, and then those slips come in. It would just be little short sentences. Well, we're sorry that we can't publish this at this time. Try us again. Things like that.
Here's one called Old Frank and Jesus. That was never taken. It was sent out over and over and over. Here it was sent to the Parish Review. Here it was sent to the Carolina Quarterly, rejected. Same story with so many of these short stories, they just rejected.
But he was so determined to make it. He'd stay right there with it all the time. He might come and sit down and eat with us. To this day, he usually doesn't eat with us because if he's writing, leave him alone, let him write. He'll eat when he gets hungry. So we've always done everything without him around because he was always writing. But when Larry writes, that's when he's the happiest. And when he's not writing, that's when he's so depressed and you don't like to be around him. You can't stand it.
I just kept going. I just kept collecting those rejection slips and just figured out after about 2 years what's the kind of thing that you gotta be in for the long haul. Keep on going.